You already know about the NBA Jam Tournament Edition arcade game. The quality is fantastic. You can change players at halftime, which is something that was missing in the original game. And there were tons of secrets and hidden players. It's an all-time classic, and it's as much fun today as it was 30 years ago. Now, if you're filling up, I don't know, like your Steam Deck with a bunch of naughty stuff, you know what I'm talking about, you absolutely want to make sure you stick the arcade version of NBA Jam Tournament Edition on there. Or even better, grab the special edition version so you can play as Michael Jordan and Ken Griffey Jr. But, you know, there are times where you want to play the console ports instead. The home ports of Tournament Edition might not look as good, sure. But there are things in these versions that you cannot find in the arcade game. That includes crazy hidden characters. And you can also set up your game to include hotspots worth extra points, and there are also power-ups that give you enhanced abilities. In particular, if you're playing with 2 or more players, and I'm talking about like on the same screen, I strongly recommend at least trying some of the home console ports. The extra stuff is really cool, and it's going to add a lot to your game with your buddies. And play 4-player too while you're at it. But then comes the big question, right? Which home console port should you go for? And are there actually differences between these home ports? So I'll answer that last question first. Yes, there are differences, and they become really obvious if you give these games a try. Anyway, here are my rankings from the worst home port to the best, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Number 9 is the Game Boy version. I actually know this version really well. My parents gave it to me as a gift around 1997 or so, and it is what it is. Well, I mean, it was the Game Boy, right? I mean, it's amazing they could even get this game to work on the Game Boy. And honestly, it's really not a bad port, even though I've got it ranked last. In my opinion, it's a clear improvement over the first NBA Jam on Game Boy. So here's a clip of the first one. And here's a clip of Tournament Edition. Tournament Edition feels a little bit faster to me. And the animation is actually pretty good given the hardware limitations. But there's a reason why I gave it last place, and honestly, I can't think of a single reason why you'd want to play the Game Boy version today. Your characters look exactly the same no matter who you choose. In fact, this is the only version of Tournament Edition where Muggsy Bogues is the same height as everyone else. It can also be hard to see what you're doing. Since I'm playing on an emulator, it's pretty easy to follow the action. However, on the original green and black screen, there were a ton of issues with screen blurring. And of course, there's the password system, no battery save option. I hate writing down these passwords. Now, I did like this game when I was a kid, but honestly, it was really hard to follow the action, especially when we were on like a long car ride. The other portable versions of NBA Jam Tournament Edition were a lot better. NBA Jam Tournament Edition for the Game Gear is seriously a lot of fun. The action is fast, just like it should be. The color is great, and I'm impressed by the graphics. This is probably the best basketball game on the Game Gear. Well, it's a lot better than that awful arch rival's Game Gear port, that's for sure. But it's also a lot better than the original NBA Jam for the Game Gear. Let me show you. The original game looked nice, sure, but it was really, really slow. I mean, this game was so slow that it was painful to play. Tournament Edition is a lot faster and the control feels a lot more smooth. It's easy to see where you are and what's going on. Honestly, playing this version makes me wish that they would come out with an NES version of the game. I seriously think that this might be one of the best games on the Game Gear overall. So it seems that things have improved, right? Both of the handheld games were improvements on the originals. And I actually could see myself playing the Game Gear version again. Like I said, it really is a lot of fun. They did a really good job with it. But now we get to the first of the next generation ports, and this is where it gets ugly. I've got the Sega Saturn version at number 7. Now I've got a feeling that this might be controversial, but there are a few reasons I really don't like this game.
Excuse me!
But let's look at what went right first.
Morning! Boom shakalaka!
The graphics are clear and they look a lot like the arcade game. The sound is fantastic and it includes the players' names. And the gameplay is fast, a little bit faster than the arcade version actually. Actually, you know, almost all of the console versions are faster than the arcade version. The only one that I can think of that's slower, I think, is the Game Boy version, and even then it's pretty close. But the Saturn version seems to be one of the faster home ports of the game. But then there are the problems, and man, there are a lot of problems. The computer AI in this game is just broken. Like, the computer will literally just stand there and do nothing. And as a result, the game is way too easy. I scored over 100 points and won by 20 in my first game. So to put that in context, when I played the other ports for the first time, I actually lost quite a few of those games. There's an issue with the computer's logic in the Saturn version. Now, some of those issues are common among the 32-bit ports of the game on every one of these platforms. However, that's not the only problem with the Sega Saturn version.
Morning!
The camera is zoomed in way too far. I mean, look at this. During the inbounds pass, you can't even see the defenders. Why are things zoomed in so close? If anything happens at the top of the screen, I feel like I can't see the top half of the players. And then there's that CD technology at the time, which is a real bummer. Let me tell you, we've come a long way. It's pretty bad to have to wait through loading screens between each quarter. However, the halftime full motion video is actually pretty good. I'll give it credit for that. Honestly, in my opinion, the real problem with this port is how dumb the computer is. It's a joke.
Excuse me!
Well, this game's probably more fun with more than one player, but even still, the fact that the screen is zoomed in that far really makes it hard to appreciate the Saturn version. Anyway, next on our list is another early CD-based version. This is the DOS version, which came out in 1995.
Morning! Great defense!
As you can see, I'm running this in DOSBox.
For two!
I'm not sure if the stuttering and the bad frame rate is because of my settings. Anyway, let me know if you have any advice. Now, the DOS version is actually preferred by a lot of other people who've analyzed these games. There was a video I watched, I want to say about a year ago, by somebody who said that he thought that the DOS version was the best of all. As you can see, I kind of disagree, especially after playing it. I really don't like this game, and I'll show you why. My biggest problem is that I can outrun the camera. The speed in this game is jacked up to the max for whatever reason. But I shouldn't be able to run faster than the screen can scroll. Once again, this is caused by the fact that the screen is zoomed in too far.
From downtown!
I mean, you can't even see the defenders when you inbound the ball.
Morning! Hello!
So I feel like I bring this up over and over again in every video that I make. These games need camera angles that are zoomed out, not zoomed in. The big sprites might have looked impressive at the time to like the people who, I don't know, were directing the studios or whatever, but they're a real pain in the neck when you're trying to just play the game. Anyway, this version has those loading screens, though they're not too bad in DOSBox. The sound in this version is fantastic, and the graphics are pretty good, though there are other ports that look nicer. The game isn't absolutely awful, but it is overrated.
Launches a 3. For 2.
And speaking of overrated ports, the one I've got at number 5 might really surprise you. A lot of us played this one back in the day. The Super Nintendo port of Tournament Edition is a real letdown. It looks and feels the same as the port of the original.
He's on fire.
So here's NBA Jam on the Super Nintendo,
Yes.
and here's Tournament Edition.
Yeah.
They look and sound the same.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you shouldn't fix what's broken, right? But the thing is that there is something that's broken about the Super Nintendo version of NBA Jam, something that they really should have fixed. There's no music. This is ridiculous. It feels like you're playing NBA Jam in a tomb.
Heating up.
I mean, even the Game Boy version has music. Why can't the Super Nintendo port have music?
He's on fire.
It's ridiculous. I mean, there's no excuse for not having any music in this game. I know that music's just supposed to be a background thing, it's not the most important part, but honestly, it is really important. You notice it when it's missing. There are some positives too.
Monster Jam. Yeah.
The Super Nintendo version is the fastest port by far.
2.
However, you won't outrun the screen, which is pretty nice.
For 2. Hello.
And there's a battery save option this time instead of that stupid password. But there are still too many flaws here for me to ignore.
Razzle dazzle.
The graphics just feel really dark compared to the other ports. And I really think the Super Nintendo was capable of a lot more than this.
Heating up.
Anyway, that's why I've got the Super Nintendo one down at number 5, and then comes number 4, which will be another surprise. Like the Super Nintendo port, the Sega Genesis port of Tournament Edition is just an updated version of the original. So here's NBA Jam on the Genesis. And here's Tournament Edition.
Heating up.
Actually, Tournament Edition feels a little bit slower to me, which is one reason I have it lower on this list.
Rejected.
And, you know, I really don't understand why they couldn't have at least updated a few things. I mean, they had a full year between the first game coming out in 1994 and the second one in 1995. I mean, Acclaim couldn't come up with a single improvement. Now, the graphics are good, better than the Super Nintendo release, at least.
Rejected.
And the play control is good since it's the Genesis.
No way.
But the game does feel a little bit slower.
2 points.
I do prefer this port to the Super Nintendo version, though.
The rebound.
And fourth place isn't necessarily a bad thing. And now we get to the real surprises. So if you've watched my videos this far, you probably won't expect what's coming.
Back to the floor.
So I've got the PlayStation version ranked 3rd. Look, there are really big issues with this version.
Ryder.
The AI has issues making the most basic decisions.
Excuse me. Ryder.
Steals and interceptions are dialed up like crazy.
Get that out of here.
And the difficulty settings are backwards. Your first games are the hardest, and then the game becomes progressively easier.
Just wait, Earth.
And there are actually fixes out there that fix up some of these bugs if you're interested in them. But the question here isn't so much what's wrong with the PlayStation version as what's right. As you can tell just from looking at it, the graphics in this game are top-notch. Now the camera is still a bit zoomed in, too much so for my taste.
Delivers the facial.
But it doesn't get in your way the way it does on Sega Saturn.
Morning. Heating up.
The sounds on the PlayStation are also better than on any other console, including the PC release.
Good morning. Jammed it in.
So, you know, despite its flaws, I actually do think the PlayStation version is pretty impressive. You have to remember, this was a launch title for the system. This came out September 1995, and like there was no precedent, at least in the United States, for making PlayStation games.
Welcome to.
There are issues with the loading screen coming up in strange places, sure, but the loading times are better than the Saturn and PC versions. And the full motion video during the halftime report is better than any of the other home console ports. Really, the biggest flaw in the PlayStation version is the AI logic. And you know, if you're playing this game with a group of friends, you don't really need to worry about that. Everything else is great, the screen angles are good, the sound is good, the game looks fantastic. That's why I have it at number 3. Now the choice between the top 2 was really hard to make, and I'm honestly not sure that I got this right. I'd love to know what you think. So this is what I have at number 2. I've got the 32X version at number 2.
Blaze it up. Rejected. From the outside.
The graphics are clear, even though they're a step down from the CD versions.
Blaze it up.
Actually, the more I play this game, the more I like these graphics. The angles feel right to me.
From downtown. The rebound. No way.
The control is the same as the Genesis version, which means that it's really good.
Fancy move.
The AI logic is much better in this edition.
Intercept.
And of course, you've got that sprite scaling, which they didn't have in the Sega CD version.
From downtown. No way. From downtown. The rebound.
Now, not everything is good about this version, but it still is a really solid port, one that a lot of people really underestimate. Now, my biggest complaint here is the sound.
From downtown. The
So you remember that Sega CD version of the first NBA Jam?
rebound. Yes.
The audio in that release was fantastic.
Ugly duck.
The 32X just didn't have the capability of getting that kind of high quality audio.
From downtown. The rebound. Heating up.
You know, I really wish they would have turned NBA Jam Tournament Edition into one of those rare Sega 32X CD games. You know, the one where you had to have both. I mean, I know that to have both systems at the time would have been like $600 or whatever, but imagine if we had the best of both worlds, if we had that kind of visual and then we also had that kind of CD audio. It would have been fantastic. Anyway, despite the poor sound, this version is a ton of fun to play.
Blaze it up.
And it's also one of the more expensive ports. That doesn't mean that it's one of the rarest 32X carts, though. It just happens to be one of the best games on a system that never sold all that well. Well, last but not least, we have the game that I ranked at number 1. And honestly, I'm really not 100% sure about this ranking, even after piecing this video together. Well, the Atari Jaguar port was the final port to be released.
Grab the rebound. Intercepted. Hello. Boom, shakalaka.
The graphics look really good, though I'm not sure that they got the colors right.
Grab the rebound. 1 minute to go.
As you can see, the sprites are big, but the screen shows quite a bit of the court.
No good. Heating up.
And since this is a cartridge-based system, you don't have any delays or loading time. Now, the Jaguar edition of NBA Jam Tournament Edition wasn't released until January 1996, so that's after College Slam had come out. This is around the time that NBA Hang Time comes out in the arcades. Everybody had moved on from this franchise by that time. And of course, it was on the Atari Jaguar. The system had like 50 games, and that was it. So if you read this list of the top 25 Atari Jaguar games of all time, you should know that this is literally half the library. The author ranked this game number 6, and I've got to agree. The sound is particularly good, especially the music.
Peyton! Rejected!
The game plays quickly and it's a lot of fun.
Warning! Fantastic!
Now, if you look closely, you will notice some screen flickering and some other visual bugs. I think that's mostly due to the Jaguar, though, not to the programming of the game. Yeah, this might be a hardware issue, it might be an emulation issue, I'm really not sure. Either way, though, the occasional flickering didn't really detract from the experience for me. Now, I still think that the arcade version is the best version. But the Jaguar version is a lot of fun to play. And the 32X version is a ton of fun despite its flaws. But what do you think?
For two! For two!
Should I have been more forgiving to the flaws of the PlayStation version? Are you a fan of the Sega Saturn version, which I hated?
Excuse me! Excuse me! Johnson! Jackson! Grab the replay!
Or should I have played more with the Game Gear version? Well, let me know what you think one way or another down in the comments below. And, you know, if you're interested in knowing about all of my videos when they come out on the various channels, go check out the link to the Patreon in the description. You can get all of the updates with a free account there. It's pretty easy, and I'll talk to you later.